usual, working at your own pace, making sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain. Muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Usual props, the ball. If you don't have the ball, using a pillow or a rolled up towel. And then the band. If you don't have a band, a belt, a strap, anything that you can use to support the leg, and then add a little resistance to some of the movement, works fine. So if you're seated, as usual, see if you can bring yourself into the upright seated position. But if we slouch forward, if we slouch down, we're compressing the belly, and then compressing the belly, we're compressing the diaphragm as well, your breathing muscle inside the rib cage, which is supposed to be moving up and down. If the diaphragm can't move efficiently, then I'm forcing the breath up into the top of the chest. So I'm starting breathing apically, which send me into a stress mode, into a fight and flight response. So instead of encouraging this stress mode into the nervous system, see if I can create a little extra space by sitting up a little bit taller, a little bit straighter, allowing space at the front of the abdomen, inside the abdomen, so that the diaphragm can move freely up and down, create that nice relaxed belly breath. If you're laying down easy, I'm just going to let the mat carry my own weight. I can keep the legs straight, I can bend them, whichever it's easier. And then just allowing the breath to drop down into the belly. So softening the throat, relaxing the chest, the front of the neck, the front of the shoulders. So feeling the belly raising with the inhalation and just the falling with the exhalation. So that nice, soft, relaxed breath. And then as I keep that nice, easy, relaxing breath going, I'm going to start running a quick scan over the body. So if I'm on the back, just noticing where the pressure is it even between my right and the left side? Is my head centered? Is there any niggle? Is there any tension, any pain anywhere within the body? If I'm seated, the same, but try to compare maybe the pressure between the seat bones. Is that more weight going under one seat bone than the other? Is my head slightly leaning to one side? Am I slightly twisting to one side more than the other? And as I'm a little bit more aware of what's going on, I can feel a little bit more where the body is and how I feel to begin with. I'm just going to start focusing on the shoulder, on the arm. I'm going to bend the elbows and then tuck the elbows into the side of the body. I'm going to turn the palms to face, towards the head, and then I'm going to start opening up into a dumb weight. So I'm going to rotate the arms out. So whether I'm lying down or sitting up, think of your elbows staying close to the side of the waist. I'm not pulling the elbows backwards. I'm not pulling them outwards. I'm just trying to turn my arms outwards. So that somebody had grabbed hold of my arm and was twisting them out. So encouraging that external rotation. And then as I keep the movement going, as usual, comparing right and left side, I feel the movement on the right feels really smooth. On my left side, feels a bit stiffer, or vice versa. The left feels good, the right maybe a little bit stiffer. I can see the arms, I can see the range of movement. One arm is moving more than the other. I'm going to focus on the one that is not moving as much. See if I can create the same amount of movement to both right and left side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, changing the direction of the movement. I'm going to stay with rotation, but this time I'm going to change the angle. So I'm going to reach the arms out to the side, And then I'm going to bend the elbows. So if you're seated, imagine to be like a kind of like a floppy puppet. And then from there, I'm going to go from fingertips to point down to fingertips pointing up. So I'm going to rotate in and rotate out. If I'm lying down, exactly the same. Imagine your fingertips to be pointing first towards your feet and then towards the wall behind. I'm going to rotate in and then rotate out. However big or small the movement is, again, I'm not forcing anything. See if you can keep the elbows nice and wide. There's the tendency to wanting to bring the elbows back into the side of the rib cage. Just that makes the movement a lot easier. So see if you can keep it nice and wide and then encouraging that rotation both ways. The shoulders are keeping down on the floor. So I'm not trying to lift from the shoulders. I'm just trying to move from the arm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing down. Relaxing the shoulders, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the arm. And then I'm going to change the direction. This time, instead of internal external rotation, I'm going to go more into circles. So I'm going to focus on my right arm first. I'm going to reach it straight forward, straight ahead. And then I'm going to start drawing little circles in front of me. So if I'm seated, I'll be drawing the circle on the wall in front. If I'm laying down, I'll be drawing it up on the ceiling. And then I'm going to progressively spiral it out. So I'm going to try and make it a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. If I'm seated, I've got space to rotate. So I can make the circle really big if I want to. If I'm laying down, I'm limited because my back is on the floor, so I can't rotate as much. But I can still reach my arm across into a little rotation. So I can still make the movement fairly big. Just make sure that nothing is grinding in the shoulder, so there is no pain in the shoulder as the arm goes round. 3, 2, 1. Then I'm going to reverse the circle going the other way. Adjusting the size of the circle. I feel they're going this way. Somehow the movement feels easier, so I might make it bigger, or I feel that it starts catching a little bit on the shoulder, so I might make it a little bit smaller. We'll see if I can keep it smooth. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. I'm going to try exactly the same thing with the other side. So I'm going to stick the arm straight in front, and then starting with a little circle, I'm going to gradually spiral my way out into a bigger movement, encouraging a little rotations, allowing yourself to roll slightly on the side as the arm reaches across, making sure that, again, there is no grinding, there is no pinching, there is no pain into the shoulder as I'm going around. So as big as I can make it, but making sure that it's easy, is pain-free. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reversing the circle, going the other way. Same as before, adjusting the size of the movement. If I feel that this way around feels maybe easier or harder. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Relaxing the shoulder, releasing the arms and giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Just a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint and some movement into the back too. I'm going to start working into the hip. First thing, I want a little bit more connection, adductors, abductors, so inner thigh and outer thigh. So I'm going to start by placing the ball or the cushion between the knees. And then I'm going to shuffle the feet nice and close together. So touching if possible, as close as possible if I feel the touching is maybe a bit too much. Then once the legs are set, I'm going to start to squeeze in the ball between the knees. So I'm going to press it between the knees, and then I'm going to ease the pressure. Feel where the tension is, as very often we tend to grip with the lower back. So I feel that every time that I press, my lower back gets really stiff, really tight. See if you can avoid that. So on the lower back to stay relaxed, just my inner thighs to actively press into the ball and then easing that pressure back out again. 3, 4, using the hands to guide the leg. If I feel that the leg is a little bit temperamental today, it doesn't want to move. 6, 7, 8, 9, and then on the next one, I'm going to squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release the tension. Try again. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release the tension. One more time. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back. Easing the tension off the ball, relaxing the hip, giving the inner thighs a little bit of a rub. And then I'm going to allow the inner thighs a little rest and then work onto the side of the leg. So I'm going to grab a hold of my band or my strap. I'm going to bring the legs nice and close together, and then I'm going to tie the band around the knees. So I could hold it with my arms. If I wanted the arms to relax, I'm just going to put a little bow or a little knot to hold the band in place. So I don't have to tense my arms, I can just relax the arms. If you don't have an elastic band and you're using a strap, give yourself just a little bit more of a slack so you've got some space to move the legs inside that loop. Once the band is tied, then I'm going to start pushing out with the feet. I'm going to start with the feet nice and close together, and then I'm going to push the knees out as far as I can, and then I'm going to ease them back. Exactly the same as I did for the reverse, so for the squeeze. I feel that my right leg is able to push, my left is struggling a little bit today. I'm going to guide it with a hand. So I'm going to try and use my hand to help me guide the leg and then return back. Both legs, I'm struggling to get them to move. I'm just going to push them out with the hands, guide them out with the hands, and then ease them back to the center again. So it's trying to wake up, trying to activate, trying to connect to the side of the hip, to the side of the bum, and then releasing the tension back to the middle. If you're especially if you're lying down, as you'll be able to open the legs a lot wider, make sure that you don't go so wide that you feel that the band is kind of like rolling down into your hips. If I can try and keep it tucked right behind the knees, so that as I open and close, the band is going to stay in place. It's not going to roll down. 3, 2, and then on the next one, I'm going to push out and hold that pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back to the middle. Try again. Push out and hold that pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back. One more time. Push out and hold the pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And easing back. Relaxing the hips and releasing the legs. I'm going to release the band. And then I'm going to switch back onto the ball. I'm going to place the ball between the knees. And this time, instead of keeping the feet close together, I'm going to walk the feet out wider. So think of the feet slightly wider than your hips. So if I'm lying down and lift my head, I should be able to see the back of my feet on the outside of my hips. If I'm seated, I can see my knees going slightly inwards. So I'm slightly pigeon-toed, so knocked in slightly. And then keeping the ball between the knees, I'm going to go into the squeeze again. So I'm going to press into the ball and then ease the pressure. So this time with the feet are so wide, the leg is going to turn in, it's going to internally rotate and press. So I'm still working through the inner thighs, but I'm changing the angle as we've got more than one muscle on the inside of the leg. So I'm going to change the angle to see if I can get as many as possible working. And then same as before, I feel that I need a little assistance. I'm going to use my hand. See if I can create an even pressure right and left side. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm going to hold the pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back, and then again, press and hold the pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back. One more time. Press and hold the pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Relaxing through the hips and releasing through the legs. I'm going to push the ball out of the way. And then I'm going to switch back onto the side of the hip again. Exactly the same as before. I'm going to set the band around the knees. I'm going to hold it in place with a little bow, a little knot. And then exactly the same as I did for the inner thighs. I'm just going to gradually shuffle the feet out, trying to get them a little bit wider than the hips, than the knees. Then from there, I'm going to push out onto the band. And then I'm going to ease back. So with the feet out wide, especially if the band is an elastic one, it feels harder as I've got to push out a lot harder, a lot further to get my knees in line with my feet again, to get my shin bones nice and parallel to the floor. So if you feel that the band is maybe a little bit too heavy to push, you can let it go a little bit looser, so you can make the loop just a little bit bigger. So I can still push out into the band, get the knees to open up nice and wide. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then on the next one, I'm going to hold that outward pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back, and again, push out, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease back. One more time. Push out, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And easing back. Relaxing the hips, releasing the legs. I'm going to undo the band. Allowing the legs a little rest. I can feel a little bit more connection, hopefully, to the side of the hip and the inside of the thigh. I'm going to focus a little bit on the back. I'm going to reach the arms to the front, clasping the hands together or keeping the hands apart if you rather keep them apart. And then I'm going to start rotating. So I'm going to swing the arms around to the right. I'm going to rotate to the right as far as I can, easing back to the center, and then swing them to the left, to rotate as far to the left as I can. Coming back to the center, and then rotate into the right again. So nice, easy movement. I'm not forcing the movement. If the arms feel a little bit too heavy, especially if I'm sitting up, I might want to keep the arms a little bit closer to the body, closer to the chest, and then just get the rib cage moving. If you're lying down, use the arms to create a little swing from side to side that is allowing you to roll from one shoulder over to the other, for making sure that your hips are staying fixed. They're staying down on the mat. So I'm not turning my hips, I'm just turning my shoulders and swinging my arms. So rocking from shoulder to shoulder, from shoulder to shoulder. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back. It's a little bit more movement through the back. I'm going to change the direction of the movement. From rotation, I'm going to go into a little lateral flexion. So if you're lying down, you're going to use one hand. You might want to use one hand to support the head. So I'm going to scoop my head into my left hand, and then lifting the head slightly off the ground, I'm going to flex it to the right. So I'm going to reach down with the right arm as if I was trying to touch the little toe, the side of the foot. Then I'm going to ease back the center, switch the arm, and then with the left, I'm going to reach down towards the left foot. Easing back to center, and then switching to the other side. So see if I can get the lateral flexion going. If I'm laying down, it's a little bit more, it's a lot more load into the front of the belly, as I've got to hold the head and the shoulders up as I'm moving from side to side. So if it gets too heavy, you can always have a little rest in between repetitions. If you're seated, you're working with gravity, so it's easier. I don't need to support my head. I can just focus on the little flexion from one going to the other side. If I want to make it more challenging as I'm sitting down, to make the body a little bit heavier as I flex to the side, I'm going to reach the arm over. So as I flex to the right, I'm going to swing my left arm up and over. I can feel my body now is a little bit heavier. I need to pull it back to the center, and then I'm going to flex the other way. I can feel the body a little bit heavier, pull it back to the center, and then over to the other side again. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, resetting yourself back to the middle. Again, it's a little bit more movement into the back. From lateral flexion, I'm going to go into a little flexion extension, so trying to move forward and back. So if I'm seated, if you're seated, you can use the ball. If you're lying down, you need your hands to support the head again. So if I'm seated, I'm going to place the ball onto the chest, and then, as usual, think of taking the shape of the ball. So I'm going to flex forward. So I'm going to try and wrap myself into the ball, and then I'm going to try and push the ball away. I'm going to try and wrap myself into the ball and then push it away. So see if I can really feel the change in the upper back, that flexion, that rounded shoulder position into a nice extension, into a nice open lifted position. If you're lying down on the mat, then instead of holding the ball, I'm going to hold the head, supporting the head. I'm going to allow the chin and the head to come forward as I curl forward into flexion. And then I'm just going to push up into extension, sending the rib cage up and towards the ceiling, then lifting the head and the shoulders off the mat. And releasing the head and the shoulders, lifting the rib cage up to the ceiling, and then switching again. So opening and lifting through the chest, and then rounding, opening and stretching into the back, and then releasing. So really see if I can be aware of the movement happening at the top of the spine. See if I can ease some more of the tension, some more of the stiffness from the thoracic spine. So really trying to get the flexion and extension going. Flexion, extension going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back, and then I'm going to retest the rotations. So now that hopefully the back feels that little bit looser, I'm going to see if I can rotate. But this time I'm going to try and focus on one side first and then the other. So if you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto your side. So setting yourself into your side line. So I'm going to reach the bottom arm straight forward, straight ahead. So I'm resting on the back of the shoulder. The head can be on the floor. If the floor feels a bit too far, then I'm going to put a pillow, a cushion, a block under the head to bring the head up slightly. I'm going to tuck the knees up at the front, and then with the top arm, I'm going to start opening the door, turning towards the ceiling, spreading the arms nice and wide, and then I'm just going to ease back. If I'm seated, I'm going to do the same thing, but from a seated position. So I'm going to hold the right arm, the left arm nice and still, and then with the right, I'm going to turn and open up, easing back. Think of the head sitting always on top of the shoulder, so making sure that I'm not hunching, so the arm is not going backwards while the shoulder is actually coming forward. See if I can make sure that the shoulder is going back, the arm is just the following. Then easing back, and then I'm going to open again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release and back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. If you're on your side, rolling over to the other side, setting the same position on the other side. So making sure that you're resting on the back of the shoulder, the bottom arm is really pulling forward. The head is supported if I need the support. And then with the top arm, I'm going to open the door, turn, stretching across the front of the chest, and then easing my way back. So same as you did on the first side, I might find that this side feels easier, so I might be able to turn further. This side feels a bit stiffer, so I'm going to keep the movement smaller. And then as I feel I'm gradually warming up to the movement, then I can always open up a little bit more and a little bit more each time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, upper back, hopefully feeling a little bit looser, a little bit warmer. See if we can get some movement into the lower back too. I'm going to start off with a little pelvic tilt. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back. I'm going to tack the tailbone under, round the lower back, and then back into neutral lifting. So I'm going to tack the tailbone, tilt in the pelvis back, and then back into neutral again. So little tilt, and then coming back. A little tilt, and then coming back. So if I'm seated, see if you can be aware of the movement happening down at the base of the spine, not at the top. If you're lying down, use the mat as a guidance. So as I tilt the pelvis back, I should be able to feel my lower back pretty much flattening against the floor. And then as I go back into neutral, I can feel that little arch below the lower back again. So I'm going to tilt and then release that tilt. Tilt and release that tilt. 5. I think of just massaging the back of the pelvis and the lower back. Relaxing the hips, relaxing the bum. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the hips, adjusting the hips. From a posterior anterior tilt, I'm going to go for a lateral movement. So I'm going to go for a little hip hinge. So this time the back of the pelvis is going to stay flat against the mat. I'm just going to hitch my right hip up towards the right side of the rib cage. So the hips are going to swing to the right slightly, and then left hip towards the left. The hips will be swinging slightly to the left. So just a gentle side to side, loosening up into the lower back a little bit more, feeling a little tension, a little bit more connection into the side of the belly as well. If you're seated, exactly the same. Imagine to be walking your seat bones up and down the chair. Using the hands for a little support if I need the two. If I can hitch up on the right and then hitch up on the left. Up on the right and then up on the left. Just a little tension into the side of the belly to create that hitch, create that lift. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing through the hips, or releasing through the back, a lower back a little bit looser as well. I'm going to see if I can go back into the hips and the shoulders, but this time I'm going to try and coordinate the upper and the lower body together. So imagine a string that attaches your right hand to your right leg, your left hand to your left leg. I'm going to start with the right side. I'm going to pull the string out to the right, so the leg will move out with the arm. And then I'm going to pull the string across to the left, the leg will squeeze towards the left. Then you're going to open again, leg and arm, and then close, squeeze it towards the left. Open it, and closing. So think of the same movement that you practiced with the ball first and then with the band. The little inner thigh squeeze and then the little opening against the resistance of the band. See if I can do the same, but this time without any resistance. So see if I can just be aware of the leg moving into the hip socket and then the arm moving into the shoulder socket. 3. Squeeze it across. 2. Squeezing across. 1. Squeezing across and releasing back. Then relaxing that right side. I'm going to do the same thing with the left. So imagine the string connecting left hand to that left leg. I'm going to pull it out and then squeeze it across. Open it and close it tight. 2. Squeeze back. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. And releasing back. Relaxing the hips, so releasing the shoulders and the arms. When you're ready, if you're lying down, rolling over onto the side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding your comfortable seated position, leaning the back against the wall or a sofa, something that is not going to slide off, that is going to offer a little support. Alternatively, using the arms by the side, behind, to offer that support to help you sit up. Legs, whichever position works for your hips and for your knees. Once that you're up into that seated position, same as we did at the beginning, think of the space at the front of the belly. But this time I'm going to exaggerate that space. So I wanted to open it even bigger. So I'm going to start pushing the chest forward. I'm going to lift it up and towards the ceiling. So think of lifting your rib cage away from your belly, away from your hips. I'm going to drop the shoulders down at the back. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to look up. I'm going to look back as far as I can. And then I'm going to release. Then I'm going to allow the chin to drop down to the chest, the shoulders to come forward. And then I'm going to roll my way down and towards the ground, down and towards the legs. I'm curling all the way back, pushing the rib cage forward. Rolling the shoulders back and down, lifting the chest up and towards the ceiling, looking forward, looking up, looking back, and then release and coming forward again. Chin to the chest, the shoulders come forward, rolling your way down gradually, uncurling your way back, extending your way through, lifting and opening as far as you can, looking up, looking back, and then easing your way back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back,